The Rome Show!
With your hosts, Andrew Romanella.
I legitimately watched the entire women's triathlon the other day. I gotta tell you, that was exhilarating stuff. But I was locked in because it's the Rome Show here on 12OunceSports.com, Dingo TV channel 217. I am your host, Andrew Romanella. I hope everybody is locked in today, Monday, September 16th. What a weekend in the National Football League. What a weekend in NCAA football. What a weekend in Major League Baseball. What a weekend in general, and we get to talk about it here with you on the Rome Show, 12OunceSports.com. We remind the people, if you need to follow us on any social media, we make it really easy. It's The Rome Show 1. That's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, whatever you want to follow us on, The Rome Show 1, wherever you got to follow us. If you love any of the content, be sure to subscribe, The Rome Show podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, and then just naturally follow 12 Ounce Sports wherever you follow social medias. We got a big jam-packed Monday for you in the National Football League. So much happened yesterday, so much starting to shape up just after 2 weeks of the season. And I think a big part of week 2 is the statistics that show you if your team starts 0-2, it is very difficult to turn the ship around and then turn yourself into a playoff contender. So that week 2 game becomes very important for fans, very important for organizations. And I think we put a lot of stock into this is trending towards more likely to be what my team is like than is not. So it's either you know or you don't know. And I think for a lot of teams, we might know. Plus, okay, I have to ask a major question, which I'm going to slide across the bottom of the screen here in a second. And I really need to talk to the people about the quarterback position. And of course, your daily bananas, which we get to at the back end of the show. I can see any of your comments live. If you feel like you really want to give us your opinion and your thoughts, the Rome Show 1 at gmail.com. All right, I'm going to slide this across the bottom of the screen, okay? And this is the question that I'm going to be asking throughout the show. Would you take a chance on drafting a QB first overall in the NFL draft? Would you take a chance on drafting a quarterback first overall in the NFL draft? We are going to go through the weekend slate of games and their results for the people. And then we are going to delve into this question because what I think I'm learning in 2024 in the National Football League is that the quarterback position is few and far between. It's actually so few and far between that essentially the bottom 10 quarterbacks in the league might as well be backups because for the most part, the backups probably aren't going to be able to come in and be starters. So we're going through the NFL slate right now. Week 2, we put on the fun music and we get rolling. All right, so on Thursday night, we're just going to remind the people of this. I don't know why I'm reminding of the people of this, but I guess I am. The Dolphins lost to the Buffalo Bills 31-10. It was a really rough day for Dolphins fans as Tua Tagovailoa got knocked out with a concussion. Rumors and reports are that he is not planning on retiring. I think that's going to be a long conversation, so we're not going to get into that today. James Cook led the way for the Bills with 3 touchdowns on the ground. Heading into Sunday, if you didn't get a chance to watch this game, you missed out. And if you're a fan of an NFC East team, you really wanted to watch this game. That was the Cowboys hosting the Saints. The Saints did everything they wanted to against the Cowboys, more specifically Alvin Kamara, who had 20 carries, 115 yards, and 3 touchdowns on the ground in the first half. It was an unbelievable day for the Saints. Derek Carr was 11 for 16 for 243 yards. He had 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. At one point in time, Derek Carr was perfect, I think, at like 8 for 8 or something in this game. And oh, by the way, Alvin Kamara made it 4 total with a receiving touchdown. The New Orleans Saints have scored over 40 points in each of their last 3 contests. There's your daily data for the people. That dates back to their last game of last year. So the Derek Carr experiment in New Orleans, the combination of Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, then you throw in there Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill, Jamal Williams. That's a really talented offense. Looks like New Orleans could really be something here. So let's check that out. They're 2-0. The Cowboys, just not good. Just not good doing Cowboys things. The Buccaneers play a little shockage to the Detroit Lions in Detroit. They go to the Motor City and they defeat the Lions 20-16. Essentially, the Buccaneers led the entire game. Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield did do their best turn the football over impressions. Baker Mayfield had 1, Jared Goff had 2. It was like, who doesn't want to win this game? But at the end of the day, for the Bucs to go up to Detroit on the road, Aiden Hutchinson in this game had 3 sacks in the first quarter. That's right. I said that correctly. 3 sacks in the first quarter, 5 sacks total. Well, actually, they gave him 4.5. I guess they call 5 QB hits, but somebody else helped bring him down. So he only gets 4.5 sacks. He was 1 full sack off of the record for a game, I believe, or 2. That's how good he was, and yet the Buccaneers still come away with a victory. Another, surprise 2-0 team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Looks like Baker Mayfield has really found a home in Tampa. The Colts, they went to Green Bay and got slacked, not by who you thought would be at quarterback for the Packers. No, by Malik Willis, who got traded there 4 weeks ago from the Tennessee Titans, who maybe wish they didn't trade him because Will Levis does not look like the franchise quarterback as well. Does anyone understand why I'm asking the question about quarterbacks today? Good. I'm glad we're on the same page. But Malik Willis played really good. The Packers won 16-10 behind Josh Jacobs, 32 carries, 151 yards. Anthony Richardson also didn't look like the franchise quarterback. 3 interceptions, just bad. Good for the Green Bay Packers. They go 1-1 after losing Jordan Love after their week 1 victory. Speaking of Will Levis, he hosted the Jets. The Jets, that's right, get their first victory with Aaron Rodgers under center. It was not Aaron Rodgers that necessarily won them the game at all. It was probably more or less the Jets defense playing way better and Will Levis and the Titans just not being that good. Breece Hall had a touchdown through the air, 2 touchdowns for rookie Braylon Allen for the Jetropolitans. Aaron Rodgers was 8 of 30, 176 and 2 TDs. Didn't play elite, but did exactly what he needed to do to win this football game. I think it's great for the Jets to get that first one. The Titans are clearly not that good. So, yeah, that should have been a victory for the Jets. We'll see if that bounces them forward into next week. The 49ers go to Minnesota and they lose, and they lost pretty handily, at least in my opinion. Even though the score was 23-17, I thought Minnesota had a fantastic defensive game plan against Brock Purdy and the Niners. In my opinion, and it might not matter to you, maybe it does if you're listening to the show, then I guess it matters slightly. That wasn't a great day from Brock Purdy, but the last 2 weeks, Brock Purdy does not necessarily look like why the 49ers elect to go with Brock Purdy at the quarterback position. I'm not being extremely hot take guy. I'm not trying to throw that out there too quickly, but I just think it's one of those things where you're looking and you're saying to yourself, it's not taking an insane amount to rattle this offense right now, which should be one of the most elite offenses in the game. Is that because of the quarterback? Is that because of the play calling? I got to see a little bit more. We talked before about how Ayuk was out for a long time. You had to get that mesh. You don't have CMC right now. Is that really the difference maker? So, because Jordan Mason, ran for 20 carries, 100 yards, and a TD. So the dude's over 250 yards in 2 games. So it's not like he's not running the football well. So I don't know if it's a Brock Purdy thing, if it's not CMC thing, if it's just I don't know. Maybe it's just a rough 2 weeks. So we'll see. 49ers 1-1. The Vikings with Sam Darnold at the quarterback position. They are 2-1. Again, another quarterback. Interesting conversation because he was supposed to be the franchise in New York. He ended up not being quote unquote good enough. But now here he is around a good team, good coach, good offensive line. And Sam Darnold looks like he could have a really solid year for the Vikings. They are now 2 and oh, how about that NFC North, huh? Packers looking better than you would think. The Vikings without their guy that they drafted looking better than you think. So interesting up there in the cold country, what's going to happen. All right, the Seahawks, they traveled to New England and they won an OT game 23-20. Speaking of quarterbacks, anyone wish they would have kept Geno Smith? Well, the Seahawks did. He went for 327 yards and a TD. He hooked up with DK Metcalf for 10 and 129, a long touchdown that was super impressive. Jacoby Brissett playing really nice for the Patriots. The problem is I just don't think that offense has enough outside of their run game to be able to score and win all these games. Think about it. They have a great defense. They're holding teams to under 25 points in their first 2 weeks. Gerard Mayo, defensive coach. He was a linebacker for the Patriots. That all irons up to being a really good team. The problem is, do you have the offensive weapons? You got to win a game like that, right? You're at home. It's 20-20. You have the football late, and you did score in the fourth quarter, but I just don't think they have enough firepower or juice, especially at the wide receiver position. But hey, fantasy owners, go pick up Hunter Henry, 8 receptions, 109 yards. He looks like the dude that you're going to be targeting if you're Jacoby Brissett. And oh, by the way, the Seahawks are also 2-0. The Giants, they had a chance and they blew it. Not necessarily Daniel Jones' fault. Actually, not Daniel Jones' fault at all. And you know what? For those that want to kill Malik Neighbors for dropping that pass, yes. Do I believe he should have caught that pass? Yes. Does he believe he should have caught that pass? Yes. But at the end of the day, this is the most Giants thing to happen in the last 10 years. They had a chance. Daniel Jones played real football. They made great offensive calls for the most part. Their defense played pretty well over a Heisman Trophy winner, first-round pick, and their field goal kicker gets hurt. And not only does he get hurt, he gets hurt so early in the game that you knew that was going to be the cause of the loss at the end. You saw the first field goal get missed by the punter. Both 2-point conversion attempts did not go through successfully. And you're watching the Commanders drive while the game is 18-18. And you're like, bro, I could have called this 3.5 hours ago when they missed the first PAT. And you're like, these dudes are going to have to go for 2 the rest of the game. And then when that ball did not go on the dive in Slayton's hands on the 2-point conversion, right? That would have made it 23-18 or whatever it would have been, 19 or whatever. They made it 4 or 5 points. He didn't catch it. I looked at my girlfriend. I said, dude, this is good. They're going to kick the field goal to win the game. And we're going to look back and go, those are 3 1-point opportunities. Okay, at first, but your field goal kicker obviously gets hurt. 3 1-point opportunities you lose out on. And, dude, the Giants go to 0-2. Big win for the Commanders, who I don't think are going to be that good, but they have a 1-2 punch right now I think's elite. Brian Robinson Jr. can run the rock, and Jaden Daniels is elite. He looks like a younger version of Lamar Jackson now. Running quarterback guy, has to get down. You saw him lose air and get knocked in the ribs a little bit. You're like, uh-oh, could that be a problem? Ended up not being, but those are your concerns with a guy like Jaden Daniels, but he looks to be the part for the Commanders. The Chargers, they wallop the Panthers. Nothing to say there, but the Panthers are terrible. The Chargers look pretty good under Harbaugh. They're 2-0. Let's see what they look like against a really good opponent as the season goes on. The Browns sneak it out against the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence and the Jags offense does not look good. Must I remind the people, Doug Peterson is the head coach there. Must I remind the people, the Philadelphia Eagles got rid of Doug Peterson, and then that was after I believe he won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles. So clearly something goes on here where Doug Peterson finds a way to turn around an organization, and then 2, 3, 4 years down the line, you're looking at it going, I don't understand why we're not that good. Well, that's Jacksonville right now. They are 0-2, and they lost to I don't think that's good of a Browns team. Their defense is really good. I think the offense is a mess with Deshaun Watson. Nonetheless, though, the Browns get the victory. The Raiders surprise the Ravens, and the Ravens are 0-2 for the first time since the year 2015. That is correct. You don't ever see that in Baltimore. You know how many survivor pools, including my own, got ended over the weekend because people chose the Ravens? Yeah, because they're like a surefire team to be like 9-8 or 10-8 or whatever it is. It's like the Pittsburgh Steelers. You're like, dude, they're going to win 8 to 10 games a year, no matter what, while Mike Tomlin's their head coach. While John Harbaugh's the head coach of the Ravens, if I got the Harbaughs right, either way, if that Harbaugh is the coach of the Ravens, they're usually good. Well, right now, they're not bad. They're just trying to figure it out. New weapons on the offensive side. Are you going to try and use Lamar as a runner, as a thrower? We go through this every year, and then Lamar starts running the football more and more and more, zone reads, all this other stuff. The Ravens figure it out. It does look weird, though, watching them be 0-2, and Gardner Minshew leading the charge down 23-13 late in that game. Minshew leads the Raiders back. Oh, by the way, Devontae Adams is on that team. He had 9 receptions for 110 yards and 1 TD. Remember I just said the Steelers? That's right. They beat the Broncos on the road 13-6. They made Bo Nix look like a rookie. Justin Fields looked pretty good. I mean, do you need him to throw 40 touchdowns a day? No, you just need him to win football games. That's what he's doing. I think Justin Fields is going to continue starting for the Pittsburgh Steelers long term. Najee Harris, okay day. They need to figure that run game out a little bit more. The Cardinals, we talked about this early on in the season. We said on this show, the Cardinals could be way better than people thought. And sure enough, it exploded against the Rams yesterday. Marvin Harrison Jr., welcome to the National Football League. 4 receptions, 130 yards, 2 TDs. Kyler Murray passed for 266 and 3 TDs. James Conner ran for 122 and 1 TD. 41-10, the victory was there for the Cardinals. That was the most impressive victory I have seen while Kyler Murray has been the quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals. The Chiefs squeaked, and I mean squeaked it out against the Bengals, but nonetheless, they go to 2-0. The Bengals go to 0-2, and long term, that is gigantic, as we spoke at the open of the show about how 2-0 really changes the analytical opportunities for a team to go to the postseason. Joe Burrows and the Bengals looked a whole lot more like Joe Burrows and the Bengals, but someone's got to check in on Jamar Chase, and I mean that honestly. Like, gets the unsportsmanlike penalty, losing his mind. I think Jamar Chase was not expecting for the Bengals to not give him a long-term deal at this point. I don't think he's handling it very well. And oh, by the way, not playing great football. 4 receptions for 35 yards. In no way, shape, or form, okay, should the receiving leader for the Bengals be Mike Gesicki with 7 receptions for 91 yards. That's how you know that offense is not going great right now. They also don't have a running game. 74 total yards on the ground between Moss and Brown. Joe Burrow was 23-36, 258 and 2 TDs. Mahomes was 18-25, 151, 2 TDs, 2 interceptions. Not a great game for Mahomes. That's going to happen. Dude's a human. But at the end of the day, the Chiefs defense played good enough, kept them in the game. Their field goal kicker, Harrison Butker, decided we're going to bang them through 9 points in the fourth quarter to the Bengals 3. They win, and it's a big victory for the Chiefs. And then finally, on Sunday Night Football last night, why the quarterback conversation came to be, it was because C.J. Stroud faced off against last number 1 overall pick Caleb Williams, and Caleb Williams looked bad again. C.J. Stroud and the Texans looked pretty good. I'll tell you what, DeMeco Ryans has that team cooking for the last 20 games they have played. C.J. Stroud, 23-36, 261 TD. Not a lot on the ground from Mixon, but there was a lot in the air to Nico Collins. 8 receptions, 135 and 1 TD. I drafted that dude as my first wide receiver in both of my fantasy leagues, and I am amped about it. Caleb Williams, bad. 23-37, 174, 2 interceptions. You want to know how many touchdowns Caleb Williams thrown this year? You got it. Goose egg, 0. Texans win 19-13. The Bears are 1-1, really unsure about their starting quarterback, and the Texans are 2-0, very sure about their starting quarterback. And you know what that means for me? That means I'm going to take a commercial break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk starting quarterbacks, because that has been the biggest point of conversation in the National Football League to date. That was your week 2 weekend rundown here on a Monday. The Rome Show, 12ouncesports.com, Dingo TV, channel 217. Back after this commercial break.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
The Rome Show here. 12ouncesports.com, Dingo TV channel 217. Broke down the week 2 NFL games in 20 minutes. I find that rather impressive. Like, here's the deal. Most of you watched the Red Zone channel. Most of you saw or had an idea of what went on around the league. But for the most part, it's really hard to see 13 football games on one Sunday. Not everybody's like me with a 2 TV setup, one on the mantle playing a singular game and another hanging on the wall playing the Red Zone channel. That's just I. You may be different. Either way, we want to give you the rundown every Monday. So if you missed any of it, just tune into the Rome Show, 7 a.m., 12ouncesports.com every Monday, and we will run you through every football game that has happened. I am going to throw this on the screen, okay? Because I'm wondering right now if the Chicago Bears are regretting. That might be the wrong word. We're only 2 weeks in. I'm not going to say Caleb Williams is terrible. What I'm saying is, are they second guessing their thought to trade Justin Fields? So now I'm going to throw Justin Fields stats up here from the first year of his career in Chicago, which were not very good. Okay. So I think we can play this game real quick. If we believe Justin Fields wasn't that good and wasn't the option for the Chicago Bears, okay, and that Caleb Williams was the right option, you would believe, at least with better weapons, so it's supposed to be around him. Keenan Allen roams a doomsday. The other dude, I forget his name every single time, DJ Moore, they just signed him to an extension, right? Better weapons. It's supposed to be a better situation for Caleb Williams than Justin Fields. Justin Fields, in his first 2 years as the starter for the Chicago Bears, okay, was 0-2. He was 44 for 72 with 509 yards thrown, 3 touchdowns through the air, and 2 interceptions through the air. He also ran 16 times for 109 yards and had 0 touchdowns. So you're like, that's not great, but it's not atrocious. Like, those numbers, if you look back on it, you're like, okay, maybe this guy is going to be an okay quarterback in the National Football League. They lost 17-9 to the Vikings, and they lost 45-30 to the Packers. So something there. All right. So now I'm going to flip it. We are going to put Caleb Williams' first 2 games on the screen. Now, remember, ladies and gentlemen, okay? This is supposed to be a better offense, better weapons, better everything, okay? Same coach. Here we go. Well, maybe not from Justin Fields' first year, but he did play under Eberflus. In his first 2 games, that is Caleb Williams, 37 for 66, 267. Okay. How many touchdowns has he thrown for? 0. He's thrown 2 interceptions. He's also ran 10 times for 59 yards for 0 touchdowns. So the first overall pick in the draft in 2024, who had a former first round pick traded away so he could be brought in to change the culture, the offense, etc. This man hasn't even thrown a touchdown in 2 games yet or run for one. He hasn't even thrown for a combined 300 yards. And the other dude who, if you look at his career and his numbers, got better as his career went on in Justin Fields, is 2-0 in Pittsburgh. So all that brought me then to this. You think about Sam Darnold. You think about Baker Mayfield. You think about Justin Fields now. You think about Alex Smith when he eventually got people around him that he felt that were good for him. And then you think about Alex Smith in Kansas City, okay? You think about all these quarterbacks that we wrote off early on in their career that most likely was because the organization that they played for, okay? That's the first thing. Where these players get drafted, Bryce Young right now, no matter what, is not finishing his career in Carolina. One, because their offensive line is so bad, he might be injured sometime soon. But more actually than anything else, is because it just doesn't work. You can see it. It's been 19 to 20 games. They clearly don't have players around that are going to make them good. By the time his rookie deal is up, they're not going to believe in him. He's not going to believe in himself. The organization's going to be bad still. And Bryce Young is going to go to another organization, and he's going to probably tell us how actually good or bad he is. I mean, even now, Sam Darnold went to he went to the 49ers after the Jets and then went to the Vikings. And now we're seeing Sam Darnold in a very, very good form. I don't know how good, but very good. Nick Foles won a Super Bowl with the Eagles. Never once did Nick Foles look like that quarterback, except in essentially the 2 years, because then the next year, he also led them to the playoffs as their starter. But then Nick Foles goes somewhere else, doesn't look like that. So the organization these quarterbacks are in is as important as the quarterback's talent himself. And then the true basis of the question, would you draft the first overall pick? I'm going to throw another one up on the screen. Okay. Peyton Manning was the best first overall pick as a quarterback in NFL history. Okay. Now look at the quarterbacks in the last 10 years that have been drafted first overall. I have the rest of this list because this list is not fully updated. Okay. So let's go back. Jameis Winston, 2015. Jared Goff, 2016. Baker Mayfield, 2018. Kyler Murray, 2019. Joe Burrow, 2020. Now, Jared Goff's another one I forgot to mention about not finding it with the team he was drafted first overall by, but then finding it with his next team. Okay, so Joe Burrow, 2020. Trevor Lawrence, 2021. Bryce Young, 2023. Caleb Williams, 2024. So let me ask this question, okay? Because based on what I'm looking at, Matthew Stafford won a Super Bowl with not the organization he was drafted by. After 12 years in Detroit, Jared Goff got shipped back to Detroit. Matt Stafford gets shipped in. He wins a Super Bowl in the perfect system for him. Okay. So we had to go back to 2009 to find a quarterback that was drafted first overall that won a Super Bowl. So it begs the question, is it worthy of the draft pick? If you have the first overall pick, okay, and the other list of guys in NFL history that have been drafted first overall are on the board for you. Eli Manning, 2-time Super Bowl winner. Drew Bledsoe won a Super Bowl, not as the starting quarterback, though. You got to go back to Troy Aikman and John Elway, Terry Bradshaw, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, Matt Stafford, okay? There's not a lot of Super Bowl winning quarterbacks as the first overall pick. So the question is, should you spend the first overall pick on a quarterback? Because the other thing I learned over the weekend before we end this show here with Daily Bananas, there's only 20 good quarterbacks in the league. Because if your starting quarterback gets hurt, you had no chance. There's legitimately no chance. I look at the Dolphins right now, Skylar Thompson. No disrespect to him or his hard work or anything like that. That guy's not getting us to the playoffs. With the type of team that we have, I want Jameis Winston, who I still don't think is a great option, but okay, go get me the backup guy for Chicago, right? Sounds like DJ Moore wants that guy. But essentially what I've learned is really there are 20 people that you potentially want to start at quarterback for your NFL team. So 12 teams right now have a guy that you really don't want starting for you at the quarterback position. That's just the reality. How? I don't understand how. Doesn't make any sense to me. We'll break it down more Tuesday when Rocky joins the show after we get a little bit of Monday night action between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Atlanta Falcons, who travel to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles, which brings us to Daily Bananas. Here's how we finish the show every weekend, or every weekday, excuse me. Every weekday, I give you some picks. I hope you win some bananas. Recently, we've been picking really well. We've gotten our record to 18 games over 500 in terms of our picks. These are primarily prop picks, but sometimes I do go with game. Actually, honestly, it's everything. We pick everything here, okay? We were 2-1 over the weekend. We had Jonathan Taylor over 80-plus rushing yards. That hit. We did have Jacksonville -3 against Cleveland. That did not hit. And we had Chargers money line, which hit. 88-70 is the record. Tonight, we're going to go all Monday Night Football. I'm going to take the Eagles winning this game at -5.5. I did not see enough from the Atlanta Falcons offense with Kirk Cousins. Who knows? Maybe Michael Penix Jr. is at quarterback sometime soon for that team, but I just don't trust them, especially on the road. So give me the Eagles at -5.5. Even if Jalen Hurts turns the football over, I still think the Eagles are 6 points better than the Falcons. I want Saquon Barkley over 17.5 receiving yards. I found this one on Banana Duel, and I really liked it. So over 17.5 receptions for Saquon Barkley. And then the last one that I found in terms of receptions that I like, that is, I'm going to stay with these three for the evening, is Kyle Pitts over 3.5 receptions. That's it. Not yards, receptions. I think he'll get 4 catches today. I think that he's going to become somebody relied upon by the quarterback room of the Atlanta Falcons. So Eagles -5.5, Saquon over 17.5 receiving yards, and Kyle Pitts over 3.5 receptions on the evening. And that is the Rome Show here, 12ouncesports.com, Dingo TV channel 217. We'll be back tomorrow, 7 a.m. to break down Monday Night Football and so much more. Big baseball race heating up. Can't wait for it. I will see you tomorrow. All right, hey, remember, be electric. Peace!
Thank you for listening.